hopefully I can give you a bit more of an insight into how to use Parasite SEO, what it is, where Google is moving towards, and what you can kind of do to use it for yourself in the future. So I've got a bit of a presentation for you guys here today. In this short presentation, I'm just going to give you a basic rundown of what Parasite SEO is. I'm going to give you a rundown of how Google have tried to target it with their recent style reputation abuse policies and their other algorithm updates, how you can use it, some bonus tips around Parasite SEO, and a special announcement, like Jamie said, at the end of the stream. So firstly, what is Parasite SEO? Obviously, I expect that a large number of you are going to already know what it is, but for the people that don't, and for the beginners in the room, I'll give you a bit of a rundown. Google favors certain signals, right? Specifically, they favored link authority and reach authority for the last several years. And every single update to seemingly improve that root domain authority, that reach link authority, as a specific signal to rank in search. And more recently, we've seen UGC, so user generated content, also being a massive signal. And if you have done your research around the Google leaks, so the Google API document leaks of the specific ranking signals, you will have actually noticed that when you searched for the UGC attributes in the Google algorithm, that they specifically noted that they'd turbocharged that signal by, I think, up to 1,000% than the year before. So we already know that Google is actively favoring these signals. It's just that previously Parasite SEO was 100% based on authority. And now also you can abuse the fact that Google is favoring UGC signals so much as well. So Parasite SEO, the main core simple process is that you build on other people's websites that have these signals already, because generally speaking, it costs a hell of a lot of money and a hell of a lot of time to build your own authority website and to start having a ton of success with it. You will require a ton of hours, a ton of time, a ton of cash. You can rank keywords your site can't. So if you have got a DR20, DR30, DR40 site, you're going to be able to rank the keywords that you have. The average competition level is going to be around the 80 to 90 mark. And you can do this by a free or paid path. So you can make a significant ROI, or you can make a guaranteed 100% ROI if you go down the free path, which is using free Parasite sites like LinkedIn Post and Medium.com. Or you can be a lot more competitive and go after a lot more competitive keywords using paid Parasites. So if you have been looking into SEO for the last year or so, we will have seen OutlookIndia.com as the number one example that everybody's been sharing in terms of Parasite SEO sites going to the moon and then getting smashed by Google. But again, that smash was a manual algorithm attack, was not the algorithm itself. So when paid sites are done right, and in some cases when free Parasite pages are done right as well, they will often rank for your keyword on the same day as they index. We have had it in some cases where our new Parasite pages have immediately gone to number one without any additional work for that keyword. So in August 2023, so August last year, literally about a year ago to this date, we started seeing Parasites really taking off. It was with the August core update, and then we went into the September helpful content updates. And both of those essentially turbocharged specific Parasite signals. A lot of it was the authority and UGC signals, but there was some other stuff going on as well. And generally speaking, the helpful content update that affected a lot of the smaller publishers and a lot of the smaller blogs, because these sites were DR87s or DR90s and things like that, these sites were essentially filtered out of the HCU and weren't affected by having low quality pages on them. In January /February of this year, Google got pissed. They saw that parasites were dominating the news cycle. They saw that they were affecting the low quality search results that Google were getting blamed for by the public. And they saw that SEOs like myself were probably rubbing it a bit too much in their face on Twitter and YouTube. Specifically, people like Julian Goldie as well, where he was saying he bought a golden Rolex with his Parasite AI pages. I thought it was fantastic. Google didn't. However, most of these sites just move subfolders. So this is the exact same site, as you can see, with jpost.com. Because this was not algorithmic, because most of these were manual actions or manual penalties or systematic manual variables that were added into the algorithm to subdue these websites, all these websites had to do was move subfolders. And these subfolders would continue to increase in ranking. And even if they were then hit again, algorithmically they weren't. So you'll see that the site drops and then it has bounced back again with the most recent update in the last 30 days. So whatever Google does to manually drop these sites, generally speaking, every new algorithm update, they just tend to come back in some way or another, or they're replaced by other sites. So Google manually cleaned up the casino SERPs. This was by far the number one SERP in the world that was being shared online, where you saw not one, not two, not three, not four, but 8 out of the top 10 of the SERP was Parasite SEO pages. So you've got sportsillustrated.com, you've got Times Union, New York Post, Yahoo Finance, Reddit, and Oregon Live on the left-hand side. All of them were manually removed. Generally speaking, it was either one, they were manually moved by Team Google in of itself, or Team Google sent emails to these domains and sites and publishers and SEO teams and said, look, you need to manually remove this yourself. The biggest example of this was the Telegraph in the UK, who were earning up to $25 million per month from their SEO campaigns around casino and betting and gambling in the UK, and generating over 5 million visitors per month to their site in collaboration with bettingexpert.com, because obviously bettingexpert.com wouldn't have been able to see the success on their own domain as much as on the Telegraph domain, which I think is a DR92 or something along those lines. However, because you can't kill this stuff algorithmically, these sites, even the most famous of them all, Outlook in itself, has come back, right? They just changed or created a new subdirectory to move to. So don't expect that any sort of algorithm that Google is trying to do against this stuff is going to work. Generally speaking, you just move subfolders, you just move domains, and it happens over and over again. Google's algorithms are favoring this so much to the extent that Parasite SEO has been the number one ROI activity that I myself and basically everybody in my network has done over the past 12 months in SEO. And a lot of them are starting to do it themselves now. So as an example, here's HudsonReporter.com, only a DR68, but because of the trust signals, because of the authority, because of the localization in the US, this site is ranking number one for best football betting sites, which is American football, not British football, and a load of other high-level gambling keywords, and also a load of investment and financial keywords as well. But the thing is, they're doing it themselves. So very similar to how Forbes has basically taken over the SERP because of their authority signals. A lot of news sites have realized they can do the same thing and earn some juicy affiliate commissions on their dying newspaper brands. Or SEOs find it, right? So this is a site that offered promotional sponsored posts for about 10 years, but nobody basically bought them, apart from a little tick up in 2021 until this year, when people realized that you could probably use it for Parasite SEO and started smashing pages onto the site, so much to the extent that Google's actually slightly struggling with this domain. And it's a pretty good example because this was a smaller site that I wanted to show you as well, but it's still at DR79. Or spammers find it, right? This is another thing. Because of UGC, because of the authority of this domain is going to the absolute moon for a bunch of adult keywords, so a bunch of leak keywords and all sorts of other keywords, and is probably generating over 100,000 clicks a day for the spammers behind this specific one. And some SERPs now are just pure spam. The entire SERP here is just pure spam, apart from the Amazon listing and the CVS listing. Everything else is spammed out parasites, generally speaking, on UGC parasites rather than paid ones. And in some cases, I mean pure spam. The entire SERP is just spammed out. And a lot of the time nowadays, because Google also treats .gov and .edu domains, so that's government and university domains, higher up and give them more trust signals, more authority, etc., they're also now being used for Parasite SEO spam. And that was the case traditionally for a long time, but it wasn't the case that they were actively using the forums on these domains for spam for Parasite. They were generally trying to use blogs or some sort of content and context building stuff rather than a UGC abuse style of Parasite SEO. So how do we do Parasite SEO right now, right? Number one, we need to identify the niche that we're in, because we need to do everything from the idea that we're going to be basing it all on niche research. And that is very, very important because of the way that Google has changed some of the algorithm to be. Then we want to reverse engineer niche parasites. So now that we have our niche, we want to go in and start finding parasites that are related to that niche, but aren't ranking for our specific keywords. If you have got the budget, you can just go straight to the most authoritative parasites in the world For example, we buy specifically with that article, and it's all to do with the specific. It's also with the fact that that domain, number one, isn't really abused by anybody else, and number two, is very expensive to get on in the first place. It costs about $7,500 per post, and all of those again is because those domains are very strong in the finance. Then we want to calculate our profitability. So because we know that maybe if we need to buy that $7,500 post, if we do get to number one, is it going to actually make us an ROI, especially in the short term, because that post could be removed, it could be deleted, it could have any number of issues. Parasite SEO isn't a 100% game where you can rely on your pages to be there tomorrow because you don't control the domains. So you need to make sure that you're calculating your profitability into this before you even go and execute the actual campaign, just to make sure that it's going to be profitable in the first place. Then we just want to build towards ROI, right? So we're going to be choosing the sites that are going to generate us the most ROI, the highest amounts of authority and niche relevancy versus the lowest cost price, right? The same, if we can just do free parasites, we want to be building as many free parasites with the given time frame that we have to see the kind of shotgun approach of which free parasites end up ranking and which don't. So here's some niche research that you can use to reverse engineer parasites for yourself on. In health, for example, you can go with Ozempic alternatives. And Ozempic is a really good one for foreign parasites as well. So if you go and do Ozempic in your own language and start looking at the search in there, you'll often find a lot of Ozempic parasite pages ranking in foreign keywords. Then you have Fitpresso. This should be Fitspresso. I actually did this presentation a little bit rushed, I apologize. Then it's best synthetic urine. These are actually three golden, excuse the last pun there, for the health. These are actually golden keywords for health. iGaming, you got best online casino and crypto casino, etc., best crypto casino, etc., like that. Generally speaking, again, if you're international, you can try and find crypto casino for a specific country, best online casino for a specific country, and just filter it down to the new sites, the parasites that are ranking. Cannabis is one of the best niches to find parasites in because 90% of the pages that are ranking for cannabis related keywords like these, best Delta 9 gummies, best cart, best CBD for dogs, etc., are actually just parasite page and their sponsored article content because Google tends to have high levels of trust signals for those new sites than localized cannabis websites. Then in finance, we've got Press, Crypto Exchange India, $50 instant, $50 loan, instant no credit check, etc. And then adult, you've got how to sell feet pics and OnlyFans leaks. Generally, that's not the actual keyword. You want to try and find a very popular model's name on OnlyFans and then put leaks after it. And then you'll find a bunch of UGC and paid for parasites on there as well. And they're actually top 10, right? Bear in mind that some of these keywords are absolutely ginormous. So you could end up finding a parasite that's number 43 for one of these bigger keywords, but it absolutely kills it for your smaller keyword. So you just need to make sure that you're doing that additional amount of research analysis and giving yourself as many options in the first place to choose from those parasites as possible so that when you're doing that calculation of profitability, it makes sense that you have as many options as possible for that profitability. So one of the best current opportunities for Parasite SEO, intent match parasites, like I just showed you, where we're doing the reverse engineering research to match intent from a parasite to that SERP. Then we've got news jacking, event jacking, and launch jacking. Because all of these require pages to rank immediately, these trusted and authoritative websites will index and rank on the same day, like we already said. You can see it all the time whenever the UFC goes live, whenever there's major footballing events. You can go into the search, look at UFC live stream, look at whatever it is that football match is betting, things like that. You will see parasites ranking non-stop. Rolling Stone are one of the biggest for that, where they're doing it themselves internally. PDF Parasite SEO, this is one that's absolutely killer right now. There's a load of PDF keywords that can give you advantages for brands, for clients, for ORM, which is another thing which I'm going to get on into in a second. But generally speaking, there's a bunch of parasite sites that you can use right now that are PDF specific, like scribd.com. Scribd, I don't actually know how to say it properly. And you can use those as PDF level parasites that will rank PDF files for you. Then you have online reputation management. So again, this one can be sold to clients or used for your own businesses and companies and even your own personal brand. But you can use free parasites to take over branded keywords very, very quickly, very easily. And again, because they're free, it doesn't really cost you anything but time. And generally speaking, online reputation management packages as an agency can be sold for upwards of $20,000, $25,000. They're one of the most expensive agency level services in the industry, but they're also one of the cheapest to actually execute. So you can immediately execute services if you're in a big city. For a lot of people out there, especially in the US, because you have bankruptcy filings publicly, there is a massive market for people who want to get those bankruptcy removings buried in the SERPs and replaced with positive, good stuff about their business and marketing. And finally, international and non-English, right? So generally speaking, international SERPs are weaker and non-English doesn't have things like NLP and additional trust and spam signal checkers in place. So you can get away with really quite aggressive Parasite SEO pages in these other languages. And international still means English in some cases, right? As an example here, the best crypto exchange, India. You see Economic Times with their own specific Parasite. You see New Indian Express selling a Parasite. You see Business Standard selling a Parasite, and you see LinkedIn Pulse as a free Parasite at the end there. And some of these pages could arguably be earning up to $10,000 a month quite easily. So some bonus tips for Parasite SEO. Number one, use AI to create the free pages. Generally, this is going to be because you can create a content brief based on your SERP level research and analysis, which you can input into AI content creation tools like Cuppa. Shout out, Cuppa is owned by me, sorry. But you can use that to bulk generate free pages without having to create and improve a ton of human edited content. Then once those pages are indexed and ranking, that's when you can go in and add the additional human level improvements to get it from position 5 or 4 to number 1, and also to get those additional CTAs and better user conversions in place as well. Then you can optimize your word positioning for snippets. One really cool thing about Parasite SEO is because you have such an authoritative domain that you're generally on, you can steal snippets like there's no tomorrow. It's really quite easy to you can even get AI sometimes to just rewrite the current feature snippet, put it on your page, and it will outrank it. It's pretty ridiculous, but it's generally because of those trust and authority signals. You want to figure out the CTAs first, because you're wanting to make sure that if a page does immediately rank, that the users that are going to click on that page are clicking through to your CTA, because that doubles down as your user engagement signals and you're not wasting any potential clicks as well. Then you want most parasites don't even need backlinks, right? So they don't need any links whatsoever. Generally speaking, because you have got such a high authority, such a high trust signal domain, that site should start ranking on the top 10 straight away. And it might need 1 or 2 niche edits to get it to number 1. But generally speaking, most of them, unless they're very, very high competition, don't need any links. And if they are very high competition, then we generally buy multiple posts on the same domain and internal link them to the main article with supporting content of the same topic. So a little sneak peek, right? What have I got to show you guys today of what's coming? Well, James Oliver, who is also hosting this chat, and I have been working with another member of Conversion Collective called Alex. All 3 of us were hanging out in Dubai in February.
He's in the call as well, Alex, by the way. So.
Oh, okay, perfect. Alex is here in the call. Shout out to Alex. We've all been working on something which is going to be really quite awesome for a lot of you, and it's going to really piss off a lot of the industry as well, to be very frank. So as I've just shown you how to do Parasite SEO, and as I've just shown you, it's quite a manual process of researching and analyzing and coming up with sites, doing all this kind of stuff. So we have created a Parasite SEO tool with a built-in AI planner that does it 100% for you. So not only are you going to be able to input your keywords and get recommendations of parasites that you should be building, you'll get information about how to contact those sites and build the pages, or if they're free parasites, in some cases, we'll actually give you tutorials on how to build them and example pages of parasite pages already in the search. We'll also give you more keyword ideas that you can go after with the exact same parasite pages that are similar to the one that you've input. And the AI will plan the entire campaign for you, from the word count, the meta title, the keywords, the secondary keywords, even potentially sending the content to a tool like Cuppa to create. So here's an example of how the tool actually will output a specific keyword. This keyword is a very popular Parasite SEO keyword, best kratom strains. As you'll see on the left-hand side in SERP overview, we have 2 purple bubbles that are highlighting the same parasite ranking twice for this keyword. And on the right-hand side, you'll see 2 of our recommended paid parasites that we would recommend that is both topically and authoritatively relevant to your keyword, and that is not currently in the search. So you can go out, contact them via the little information icon there in the bottom and start building your parasites and taking over some of these SERPs with built-in recommendations, planning, and everything's done for you. So you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours of additional research like I just showed you in the keyword research and content briefing and creation phase. So I'm really looking forward to how this releases. You can expect it on August 25th. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you for watching. It's time to answer some questions.